Hi, this is Nancy L.T. Hamilton again. Today I'm going to show you how to dome metal using a dapping punch. I'm also going to show you the second part of the Polymer Clay donut ring, tube set ring that we're going to be making. And today we're going to talk specifically about the doming. So I'm going to get ready for that and I'll meet you over here. Okay, so this is a dapping block. This is a dap. They fit into these holes. There's all different sizes of them. And what we're going to need today, I'm using a 1-inch diameter copper disc, and the first thing we need to do is find the center on this. I have a circle template here that I'm going to put on top. I've already found the center, but I'm going to do it again to show you. And this I'm just going to eyeball. You can get more specific like I did on this side and draw out the lines, but the whole process here is to find the center of this. There are tick marks around the circle, and I probably should draw it. It's easier than trying to guesswork at it here. Once again, I don't have my tools with me. So basically you're going to just try to connect the dots again from divot to divot like that. Oops. This is just a hair smaller than the template for the same size disc, so it makes it a little nutty. It doesn't fit in here real tightly. So I'm just going to do it across like that, and then at that point I'm going to make a little divot just like I did on the ring shank. I need this circle because I'm going to be denting this dome after I dome it. Okay, so at this point, by the way, this is a pre-annealed disc. I bought these and I'm not sure if they were half hard or not. I want to make sure I'm working with really soft metal, so I went ahead and I annealed this disc for you. When choosing which spot to put it in, it depends on how high walled you want this disc. In this case, I decided I want the walls kind of high. I want to make a nice donut, and we are going to be punching down the center of this, so I want to have enough space in here to make the polymer clay donut. So I'm going to choose approximately the same size as the disc. All of a sudden my brain just shuts off and takes off. Okay, so what you want to do when you do this is to not hit dead center. You want to start by hitting on the sides. And I really should be using my rawhead mallet, but I left it in the other room, so I'm going to start with this. So what I'm doing is I'm hammering on the side of it, and I actually have this disc slid up on the side, or I'm attempting to have it slid up on the side, and I'm going all around it in a 360-degree fashion. Now, if you really want to get fussy, you can actually count your hammer blows to try to do exact matching halves. Like if you were going to put two half domes together to make a bead, you might want to be real specific about how many times this is hit. But for this one, we're not going to be that fussy. So now at this point, I'm starting. The reason you start out on the side is you want to start moving the metal towards the middle, so you have more metal to stretch. And you always start out on the edges and work your way forward. That also keeps it from crimping on the sides. So at this point, I've got my little half dome, and I want to make this just a little bit higher. At this point I could anneal it, but I'm not going to because it would take time away from you and that would just make me sad. So I'm just going to the next smaller hole, and I'm going to kind of do the same thing I did before. Go around my edges. You might also want to put this up against something like a bench pin or put it into the square that it came in, but I'm doing this for you again. It's all for you. Okay, that's good enough. So at this point, I would be doing two of these, so you'll need to do, because you need a bottom and a top hat. What we're going to be doing is making this little donut shape. So do two of these. When these are domed, you've already got your little divot there. Go ahead and anneal these, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how to do the rest of it. So here's my dome has been annealed, and I've got my little divot here. I'm going to put my nail set into that little divot we made earlier, and I'm going to tap it down. And I want to tap this all the way down until I hit the block. There. You can tell that sounds different. You can hear the harder edge. So in the end, what you're going to end up with is this shape. Okay, so you've got two of these, remember, as I did over here before. So at this point, I've mixed up a little polymer clay, and I usually, what do I usually use? Primo. And make sure it's warm, and then you're going to take it and start flattening a little bit. I don't want to flatten it too much. I want to have excess material here. So I'm going to push this up into it, not too far, and then peel off the rest. Now this next process is a bit of a fussy thing you got to do, but oh well, it's worth it for the beauty. So I'm going to try to line these two up. That. I'm going to stand up for this. What I'm going to do is try to push evenly down on it, and then I have this very dull knife, and I'm going to start scraping off the edges. Two reasons. One, I can see if I'm lined up, which I'm not. If your domes end up slightly different sizes, you will have a little, you'll see that they won't line up perfectly. And you just keep kind of working this around, pushing it down, scraping off excess. Like this. See, it's not lined up right there. You can see it. One of these is bigger than the other. They're almost the same, but not quite. So just peel them off, rub them off, whatever you want to do. And just try to keep them lined up. This takes a couple minutes, so I'm not going to go all the way into it with you. At this point, we've got enough. We don't want to have too much of this material hanging out the sides because it's just more work we have to clean up later. You want to try to get this as close to shut as you can. And at this point, put it into a toaster oven that is not used for food ever again at 275 degrees for at least a half an hour. An hour would probably be better. And then you peel these two halves apart, and you end up with this shape like this. And this is going to be the donut that's going to go on a tube set on the top of our ring, like that. So at this point, I'm going to clean up these edges with a file, and I will be right with you. So once your little polymer clay donut is out of the toaster oven, you need to clean up your edges with 220 grit, I would start with, or a file to take off any excess material that's around the edge. And I always work with water when sanding polymer clay. You don't want this stuff in your lungs. Sanding it wet will keep it from flying all over the place and getting in your fabulously sweet, darling lungs that you need forever and ever. So what I'm going to do with this, and I'm not going to make you watch it, is sand this with varying grits of sandpaper from the 220 all the way to 1000, and then if I want a really mirror shiny finish on it, I'll use a cotton buff to bring that polish up. In our next video, I'm going to talk to you how to make our little washer here that's going to fit inside our tube ring, and that will be our final part. We'll rivet this all together, and you will have this pretty cool little tube set polymer clay ring. So thanks for joining us today, and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time. I hope. Bye.